Hi guys, this is Meredith from the Witty Gritty Paper Co. And today I just wanted to show you a quick way to bring your watercolors on the go. So I am jet setting off next week to the beaches of Florida, and I want to be able to paint while I'm away. So I think I'll just dive right in here. So this is my paper setup. Basically it's like a make your own block. I've got, I think, 4 sheets of paper on here right now, and I just masked them each down on all 4 sides on top of each other. And actually I saved this last one here to do on camera for you. And I actually have to give credit to another YouTube watercolor artist. Her name is Angela Fair for this amazing tip. It's really great. I can't take credit for it. I got it from her. All right, so here's my tape. Now you might wonder, obviously, why I don't just bring a traditional block with me while we're gone, why I go to the trouble of making my own here. And it's actually because when you use a block, as I'm sure you know, you need a palette knife or kitchen knife or some sort of sharp utensil to separate the pages from one another. And since I'm flying, I really don't want to bring any sort of weaponry with me through security, so this is what I prefer. I just think better safe than sorry there. And what you want to remember, keep in mind when you're doing this, is you really want to try to have an even border on all 4 sides. I'm trying to mask down, I think it's about 1/4 inch on each side of my paper, because I don't really like wide borders personally, but whatever you like is totally fine. Do that. Now while I'm doing this, I'm also going to try to run my fingernails along the edges just to get a really tight seal. When you do it like this, overlap them, they're going to want to pull up from each other. So really make sure you've got a really tight bond between the pages. And this is my high adhesive masking tape, but you could also use painter's tape. Whatever masking tape you have probably work for you. All right, last side. There we go. And I've also got a smaller board around here somewhere. Here we go. All right, this is my smaller board. This is 5x7s. This is a 9x12. And for this one, I saved another one to do on camera. I'm just going to use my prettier masking tape here, just because I feel like it. No special reason. And I really like having more than one size to work on. So definitely don't feel like you have to. Whatever size you like best is going to work fine. Now your next question is probably, where do we get these fabulous plastic boards here? Well, here's why I like them for this. First of all, they're super thin, so they're great to tuck into whatever space you have, which is always limited when you're traveling. So they're very nice and thin and flat, and also they are very light to carry and also strong. So these are really super awesome to have. And the material, it's like corrugated plastic basically. It's like the same material that election signs and lawn signs, that kind of thing, are made of. So mine happens to be plain on both sides, which I've actually found is a lot harder to find, but you definitely don't need it to be plain on both sides. You know, you can just use an old sign that you have, or you can just run out to the hardware store and get yourself a new one. It doesn't really matter if there's, you know, for sale or beware of dog on the back of it. That's not going to impede your painting. You just need this corrugated plastic material. All right, one more side here. Okay. That's looking good to me. All right, and the next part of our mobile paint setup is going to be the brushes. Now, I'm just going to bring 3 brushes, which is kind of scary for me. I have a lot of brushes and I love to have them all available to me, so this is kind of a challenge, but I definitely don't want to bring ones I won't use, and I don't want to risk fraying the bristles if I bring too many. So I'm just going to bring 3, and what I've got here is a number 8 round brush. It's this smallest one here. And this one's actually kind of old. It doesn't pull to the finest tip anymore, but it's my favorite, so definitely bringing that one. And then I've got a number 14 round brush here, same idea, but bigger. Now this one's newer, so it pulls to a finer point. And then I've got a flat brush too. So these are the brushes that I use the most. So whatever brushes that, you know, come up the most in your queue when you're painting are the ones you should bring. But you probably won't need to bring more than 3. I guess it depends on how long you're going to be away. I'm not going to be away for very long, so this will be fine for me. And you know, worst case, you can always pick up a few when you're on vacation. And I just rubber banded them together here because I want to keep their bristles. The danger with bringing brushes with you is their bristles jamming against things and sort of fraying, and you don't want that to happen. So I want to keep them really straight and tight and upright, so I'm rubber banding them together. All right, move this out of the way here. And obviously another essential thing I'm going to need if I want to paint on the go is paint. Now I've got this, move this to the side. I've got this Winsor & Newton little Travelers pan set. Let's see if I can get it open. There we go. And this has 12 colors in it. So this is actually made to be a travel set. It's got a little water dish, and it came with a brush and mixing palettes, but I use it on a regular basis. I don't just use it for traveling, but it does come in handy here. But I don't use it in the most traditional sense because this is just like way too small. There's no way that would last me. There's no way enough water would fit in there. So I am going to bring it, but I'm not going to use every part of it the way that it may have been intended to. I mean, with these 12 here, it's a pretty good selection, but I think I want to bring a couple more colors here. And that's another thing. If you don't have a pan set like this, totally feel free to just fill up an empty palette with 2 watercolors. That's totally fine. You can bring a small one. They have folding, portable ones. They have a lot of nice options if you're filling up a custom palette. And if you're going to go that route, think of the environment and the wildlife where you're going to be so you can sort of pick colors accordingly. Like I am going to the beach, so I want to have a lot of blues and, you know, tans for sand and pinks and oranges for sunsets. And I definitely wouldn't bring, if I was doing a custom one, I wouldn't bring like my deep sap green or anything because I'm not going to be around any evergreens. So think accordingly there if you're packing a custom one. And actually here, you see, I tried my best to clean out these mixing palettes. I used to use them. Obviously, you can see there's some evidence that I used to use them. But I found that I really don't like to mix colors on plastic. So I've cleaned them out, and I'm going to do something else with them since I want to bring some extra colors. All right, let me get those out. All right, so there are 4 extra colors, I think just 4. See if I can limit it to just 4 that I would like to bring with me while I'm traveling that aren't in my pan set. So I've got them here, and obviously I've cleaned this out, like I said. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little dollop, I think I'll keep this in this corner, a little tiny dollop. Ooh, that one's separated a little bit. There we go. Little dollop of the color in there and sort of make some custom pans. Let's do the others now. Now this is totally up to you. You absolutely don't have to do this, but I really want to bring some extra colors. So I thought that this would be a great way for my pan set here to serve double duty. So that way I don't have to bring more than one palette with me. So our third one. There we go. And if you're filling up a custom palette or doing what I'm doing here, like just adding some colors, you want to make sure that you think ahead because watercolors, they really do need a couple days to dry when you're filling up a palette like this. And You definitely don't want to close a palette if it's all wet, if it's all full of wet paint there. Oh, my cap is dirty. Let's see if I can get that on. There we go. Okay. So I filled in my colors there, and I'm just going to make sure, I'm definitely not going to close this. I'm going to wait a couple days because I'm still about a week away from actually traveling, actually leaving. So I want to make sure they have plenty of time to dry, especially if you use the Daniel Smith brand watercolors. I find that those ones are especially wet and juicy. They take the longest time to dry. So look, I got some paint on my hands. Oh dear. Not a problem. But anyway, so make sure they have plenty of time to dry. You have to think ahead if you're going to be using anything wet. Also, you probably noticed that this one is completely empty. This is my ultramarine blue pan. And I just want you to know this is a general tip. If you have a pan set and one of them runs out before the others, like my situation here, you don't have to buy a replacement pan. You know, if you don't feel like ordering one or your art store doesn't have that color, that's okay. You can just buy a tube of the same watercolor and fill it up, and bada bing, bada boom, you've got a full pan again. But that also has to have time to dry. So I'll probably swing by the art store, grab a tube of ultramarine blue and fill that up and make sure that has time to dry too before I go. Because I really think I'll use ultramarine blue since I'm going to the ocean. So keep that in mind too. You really don't have to buy replacement pans if you don't want to. You can just use tube watercolors. All right, I'm gonna move that to the side, let it dry a little bit. Okay, and your next question is probably, since I filled up my mixing palettes here, what am I gonna use for mixing? Well, first of all, like I mentioned, I really don't like to mix on plastic. I find that it stains a lot easier, it yellows over time, the color beads up. I don't really like to mix on plastic. So I like to mix on ceramic. So what I'm going to do, because I do not want to bring, let me see if I can grab this here, 1 second. This is what I usually mix in. Obviously it's dirty, but it's these beautiful little flower ceramic dishes, and I love them, and I'm not gonna bring them because I would be heartbroken if they, you know, cracked or were broken in transit, since they are, you know, ceramic, they're fragile. So I'm not gonna bring those. Instead, I'm going to rely on the ability to find a ceramic plate where I'm going. I'm going to a sort of a resort type place, so I know that they're gonna have a ceramic plate for me to use. And actually that's kind of a little known thing. Ceramic plates, they make awesome palettes and also awesome mixing dishes. So definitely, you know, don't be afraid to use that, that's fine. However, if you're gonna be like in the car or you're not sure you're gonna have access to a ceramic plate, that's okay too. Just bring a plastic palette. They work fine, I just prefer not to use them. So that's fine, or even a paper plate, whatever you can find will really work for mixing. All right, let's see. Also, an easel. This is another beginner mistake. Watercolor really doesn't require an easel. You really, when you're watercoloring, you really want to work flat. You don't want to work at an angle. That's really not necessary. So you can just work on your lap, or if you sit on, you know, a chair, a rock by the pool, whatever you want to do. So you don't need an easel. So don't worry about that. That's totally not necessary for watercolor. I know some artists like to paint on an easel, but it's not necessary. So don't worry about it if you're on the go and have limited space like I do. All right, a few extra things that I'm gonna bring. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, so let me sort of show you the whole setup here. So I've got my paper here all taped up, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, see this is another one of these boards, except for this one's blank on both sides. I'm not using it to tape paper to, I'm just using it to protect my paper. So I'm taking another blank board, I'm gonna layer that on top. I'm gonna take my small board and same thing, a blank one in the smaller size. And I only have those there to protect the paper because actually even just oily fingerprints can contaminate watercolor paper and especially any other substance, but even just fingerprints. So I wanna make sure that my paper stays nice and fresh. Sorry, paint from my thumb got on there for a second. I want to make sure that my paper stays nice and fresh even on the go, because that would be a shame. Since I have limited sheets of paper, I definitely don't want to ruin any by accident. So I'm putting that on there to keep them safe. Some other extra supplies. Let's see. I'm going to bring a pencil and an eraser. because I probably will be able to find them where I'm going, but I really like to use mechanical pencils and high polymer erasers for working on watercolor paper. I'm particular about that because I hate eraser scuffs on paper, so I'm bringing my special eraser so I'm not stuck with whatever I can find. And I'm also going to bring these. Now these are just the paper trim offs from when I was cutting down my paper to fit this smaller board. And don't throw these away, don't recycle them, because they're so great for testing out colors. So if I'm doing a painting, I'm not sure if the color I mixed is right, I can just test it out on here and then I'll know and I can adjust accordingly. But if you don't have something like that, I mean, you might drop that color on the painting and find out it's wrong, and then there goes one of your, only 5 sheets of paper that you brought. So definitely don't throw those away, bring them with you. I just throw a rubber band around them and tuck them into the kit. They don't take up much space and they will probably save you quite a few headaches. So I'm gonna bring my sample sheets. Another thing you could bring is tape. I'm not gonna bring it, I don't think I'm gonna need it, but bring it if you're at all worried about it. And okay, now this is absolutely essential for the watercolor artist on the go. It's paper towels. Now you can also use napkins or whatever light tissues, whatever you have. But you will definitely regret if you do not have some sort of absorbing paper good here with you. And I will probably be able to find them where I'm going, but I am bringing them because I use one for probably every painting, sometimes two. So they're really essential to my paintings. So I'm definitely bringing them, and they don't take up much space. They're not fragile or anything. So throw those in. Let's see. Another thing artists love and often use, a lot of artists, is spray bottles. Now, I'll be completely honest, I really don't use them in my paintings, so I am not going to bring them, but I'm not going to bring one. So that's just me, but totally up to you. If you use one, then find a small one, and don't bring like a giant one. Find a small one, fill it up with water, and just tuck that in there. This is not going to be a huge deal or anything, but remember, if you're flying, if you're going to bring it on your carry-on or something, it can only be 3 ounces, I think. So you don't have to bring a spray bottle, but if you use one, then try to find a small bottle you can bring with you. You wouldn't want to be without it if it's one of your essential tools. And one more thing is water dishes. Now, I'm not going to bring these. I just brought them out here for example because I know I'm going to be able to find a paper cup or a glass or a bowl, wherever I'm going to be. I know I'm going to be able to find some containers for water. That's usually pretty easy to find on the road, even old yogurt cups, whatever you can find. But I would say if you're, gonna backpack through Ireland, then you might want to have these with you. I'm just not bringing them because I think they're really awkward to bring in a suitcase or something. But if you're not sure that you're gonna be able to find them, then bring them with you. Be safe. I'm not going to though because I know I'm gonna be able to find them on my way. All right, and let's pack it all up here. And this is actually another very handy trick that I learned from Miss Angela Fair. She is full of good advice. You want to take yourself a band of elastic here. Now, I really like this thicker elastic. I think it's 1 inch or 2 inches or something. It's thicker. It's not the super thin stuff. The thin stuff works too, but I just prefer the thick stuff. I'm kind of neurotic about keeping things safe. So anyway, but all you need is a band of elastic with a knot in it. And you want to slip it under one corner. See if I can keep everything straight while I do it. Twist it once. Let me move this over so you guys can see it better. Twist it once and just slip it over the other side. So that's pretty secure. Let me get my knot on top. So, and that just is wonderful. It just holds everything in, well, almost everything in very nice and tightly under tension. And this slips in really great, like in a suitcase or the trunk of the car. It's a really great, neat and tidy package. And obviously when this is dry, when these colors are dry, I would fold this back up and slip it under there. I'm not gonna do it now, they're still drying, but that would fit right in really easily too. So there's my neat, tidy little mobile watercolor studio. Okay guys, so I'm actually back from vacation now, and I thought that I would show you some of the things that I was able to paint while I was gone, because you guys don't usually get to see some of my finished works, so I thought that this would be fun. All right, so this is the first painting I did, and it was of a flowery bush that was outside the window where we were staying. And it had these adorable, beautiful, small little pink flowers on it that I really wanted to try to capture. And I'm, relatively happy with the painting. It's definitely going to take some work before I have these bushy florals perfect, but I'm pretty happy with it. I actually did use a touch of acrylic white paint on this painting too, just in case you were wondering where these white parts came from. I did not save them as highlights. I actually kind of broke a cardinal watercolor rule when I used some acrylic, but I thought that that was better than not being happy with the painting. So there was the first one. And then since we were going to Florida, we went to the beach a lot, and there were these adorable little, I don't know if they're sandpipers, but these little birds on the beach that would just scurry along, and I just thought they were so cute. I took a ton of reference photos of them, and this is what I painted, and I'm pretty happy with this one too. I really like the way the bird's legs and the reflection came out, and this one has a touch of acrylic as well. Less than the other painting, but just a little touch to help really bring out this foam. So there's that one. And then this one, I think is actually my favorite of all the ones I did while I was gone. I actually have a speed painting video about this one too on the channel if you're interested in watching it go from start to finish. So there's that one. I really like this. I don't paint landscapes enough. I really like them, but I usually don't get to them. And I love the sun here. This is probably my favorite. And then this one, I was really experimenting with different ways to get the sparkles on ocean water because I actually don't paint water very much. And it is quite challenging. I think it'll take some time to get it perfect, but I used a really dry brush technique for this painting, for the water on this painting, and I like the way it came out. This was of, I want to say a blue heron, I'm not positive. There was this blue heron on the beach at night, and it was right around sunset, and it was silhouetted, and it was so pretty, so I tried to capture that, and I'm pretty happy with it. The water was very sparkly that night, so like that one. And actually, I had a failed attempt of this painting on the back, so I think it's important that you guys know that I still make a ton of mistakes, and nothing's perfect, but I did redo it, and I think I saved it. It's certainly much better than the one on the other side. So also, this is my Arches paper, my Arches 140-pound cold press, so I was able to do 2 paintings on it, obviously one on one side, one on the other. But with cheaper papers, be warned that that probably won't work as well. They just can't stand up to, the heat like that. So just bear in mind that you shouldn't try to paint on both sides if it's not nice paper. And then this was the last one I did. This was actually sort of a portrait of the house that was not the one we were staying in, but one that was near where we were staying, and I just really liked it. It was very regal, and there was a canal in front of it, and so I wanted to try to capture that a little bit, and I got to work with doing some property painting, which I rarely do that too, so I love to expand my horizons with subject matter, so I really like this one too. Probably maybe my second favorite. All right, so those are all the ones I did on the big board. Just move this. And then with the little board, I actually shared it quite a bit with other people, with my relatives who were staying down there with me, and it was fun. We got to paint together. So I personally actually only did one painting on this small board, and that's this one. And I have to say, this is one of my favorite simple paintings I've ever done. I think it is so pretty, and it was very, very quick and fast, and it was not a big deal. It was loose. I didn't plan it out very much, but I really love the way it came out. So I don't know, maybe I'll turn it into a postcard or something. But I did notice that this colored masking tape pulled off quite a bit more paper, was much more grabby and sort of pilled and roughed up the edges of my paper when I was taking it off, more so than my high adhesive masking tape, which always works really well. I mean, it sometimes tears a little, but very rarely if you pull slowly. But this one was definitely more grabby, so I don't think I'd recommend using this for taping on your watercolor paper in the future. So just FYI, learning from experience, it didn't work as well as I was hoping it would, but I still really like this painting. I'm happy with it. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been a help to you, and if it has, please like and subscribe to our channel for more content like it, and I would absolutely love it if you would check out any of the links at the end of this video. Sorry, can't talk today. Any of the links at the end of this video to see more of my work. And I hope you take your painting on the road soon. Alright, thanks again guys. Bye!